Just when you needed speed. What I wanted to do anyway was to very quickly explain why the Irish government thought that aquaculture development was so important, both in the context of Ireland and in the context of the European Union. Do a quick run through the global imperatives that are driving aquaculture expansion, bring it to a European level, and then finally bring it down to Ireland and to a particular project and approach we have that we think might be of interest to the rest of the Union.
Apuntar hacia allá. No, que apuntéis hacia allá para... Esa ya está aquí. Ah, la van a introducir.
We're in business?
Should be.
Okay. Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. This is the living embodiment of what we in Ireland call Murphy's Law. And it's the scientific version of it, I believe, is that the probability of an event occurring is inversely proportional to its desirability. Oh, where'd you look? Oh dear. Sorry, Commissioner, I know you're under pressure.
Ah, bueno, pues dale, nos entendamos ahí.
We're in business. Thank you very much. First, the big picture, and I'm going to do this really, really quickly. We're going to have to now. As I think we're all aware, the global population is growing, and Dr. Subasinghe did an excellent presentation earlier on what's happening. We all know that there's going to be more and more people. Those people have to be fed. So we pose the question, can agriculture feed them? And the reason we think there's going to be a problem is, one, there's not going to be enough fresh water. Every human being on the planet needs 900 cubic meters of water per person per annum. The total availability is about 9,000 kilometers, so square cubed. So essentially, we're already almost at the freshwater limits of the planet. Also, as wealth increases, people want to eat more meat, more protein. As a result of that, that needs more water, and also it needs more land. Because of climate change and desertification, the amount of arable land is actually decreasing. So unless we can vastly increase the output from agriculture, it is not going to be able to cope. Also, there's a big issue here where the wealth in the world is moving. 30, 40 years ago, the center of the wealth in the world was in the middle of the Atlantic. It's now heading towards the Asia Pacific. And we can see here very quickly that by 2021, 54% of the middle income earners in the world will live in China and India. This has enormous implications for both food security and for seafood. So, simple terms, will agriculture provide enough food to meet the growing demands of the planet? No, it won't. It just simply is impossible. It can't be done, even with genetic modification, even with all the other things. So, where's the food going to come from? One viable alternative, and that's aquaculture. And as was heard earlier, it is the fastest growing food sector and has been for some time. But as pointed out, it's slowing down. We have a problem. This is why this meeting may well be one of the most important meetings held in the European Union for many years. The European Union is going to have to start pulling its weight in terms of growing its own seafood. We've all seen this graph. The blue bars are the important part. We have to produce this food. It can only come from fish farming. The other big issue, as we know, is that as wealth increases in Asia Pacific, these people have a cultural preference to eat seafood. And as it stands, they're already overtaking the national average consumption, the EU average consumption, and by 2020, the Chinese will be eating a lot more fish per head than we will. So, either way, and this is where it becomes interesting from a commercial point of view and from a business point of view, there is an enormous wave of demand for seafood. That's both a threat and an opportunity. In Ireland, we want to see it as an opportunity. Our economy is in bad shape. We need jobs and we need economic development, and we need it as fast as we can get it. So, can aquaculture keep growing at its current rate? This is a very big question. At the moment, huge amounts of aquaculture comes from fresh water, from grass-fed carps and from those areas. There's going to be a limitation, as we know, because of fresh water. So, where is this big, huge increase? Where is this step change going to come from? We think it's going to come from farming in the sea. There is scope for increase in the Eastern European countries, of course, but when it comes to the really big production over a period of time, there's only enough space in the sea. And when we talk about space in the sea, well, I'll just run through this very fast. We have to talk about moving outside of the current areas that we know about. Now, so what's all this stuff got to do with us here? We're all very comfortable. We can all eat the lovely seafood we had here. The world is changing very, very rapidly. Other parts of the world are becoming richer. We're not becoming any richer. In fact, we may well become quite a bit poorer. We may no longer be able to easily afford to import the seafood. So what are we going to do about it? And in Ireland, and as we know, has been said several times today, we are heavily dependent on imports from the European Union. So we're not going to be able to fill our shelves as easily. And it's only 150 years ago we had a famine in Ireland. It's not that long ago. Now, I'm not suggesting that we're going to end up with a famine as a result of seafood shortage, but what I am suggesting is we may not be able to get enough seafood into the diets of future generations in Europe to maintain the health status. It's very, very important. Without sufficient omega-3 in the diet, we will have a wave of mental illness. So there are very serious issues at play here. Now, back to Ireland, and we get right down to business. And I'm still inside the time, Chairman, going as fast as I possibly can. In 2006, we did a major review of our seafood sector, and it was called Steering a New Course. We went all around the country. We talked to all the fishermen, all the seafood communities, and we came up with a terrific plan for the expansion and development of our seafood industry. That was going swimmingly until we got found guilty in the European Court of Justice of not complying with the Birds and Habitats directives in aquaculture licensing, and the whole thing came to a grinding halt. So since then, we've had to develop a new system for bringing our licensing system into compliance with Natura 2000 and the Birds and Habitats. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're unfortunate enough to be on the wrong end of one of those judgments, this becomes a huge problem, because the Birds and Habitats directives are faulty. They are not designed to deal with the marine environment. They were based on terrestrial planning, and you have to generate a whole load of new science to be able to attempt to comply with them. And this is something that maybe is a takeaway point from the meeting. There's a problem with Natura 2000 and with those directives, and they need urgent reinterpretation for the marine environment. So what have we done in the meantime to try and get over this? We've put a huge amount of effort into coming into compliance with the directives and into changing our licensing system so that it does actually comply completely and fully with all of the directives, including the Water Framework Directive. We've now taken the targets that were originally in the plan and we've put them into our Food Harvest 2020 plan. That's for the whole food sector in Ireland, and of course, while we're not big players in seafood, we're very big players in dairy and beef. So we've allied our seafood to our larger cousins in the dairy and beef sector. We've also, to come into compliance with the Water Framework Directive, we've transferred those targets in an integrated way and we've put them into our strategy for ocean wealth. On top of that then, we've transmuted both of those and we've brought them into our action plan for jobs. Because from the Irish government's point of view, our number one priority at the moment is we must create employment, we must create exports, we must create wealth. This is a driving imperative for the Irish government at the moment. Now, we're going to do it sustainably, and I was glad to see President Nunes this morning explain sustainability as a three-legged stool. It's not just environmental, it's also socio-economic and economic. So it's very important that we maintain that broad balance. And all of that then will form its way into our seafood plan, which we will be placing before the Commission. So very quickly, what will we be farming? We're going to be farming salmon, and I was going to put in a whole load of details as to why, but essentially the demand keeps growing for salmon. All the markets in the world have continued to grow. Not only does the demand keep growing, the price keeps going. And the Norwegian gentleman that said earlier that they're going to double or quadruple their industry, they will. And they will because there is market demand. In Ireland, we're going to do it a little differently because we're going to do it based on organic certified salmon. We've developed the product, we've led the way, we get a terrific price differential, and our coastline is very suitable for doing it. So, what are we going to do? We're going to grow more salmon, we're going to grow more shellfish, we have a substantial shellfish sector, and we're going to move over time to integrated multi-trophic aquaculture. Where are we going to do all this? This maybe is where we have something to share with the rest of the Union. We're going to go offshore. We're going to move our farms further out, further away. And why are we going to do that? There are a lot of advantages. If you move into the less crowded zone, less competition with other stakeholders, we will be farming in areas that are outside of Natura 2000 designations. Our farms will be remote from the problematic interactions with wild salmonids, and there's a more stable growing environment for the fish if you can master the exposure level. And also the environmental impact is vastly reduced because of the enormous flushing. One of the things we are going to do is, because of the difficulties that were mentioned earlier with licensing, the state is going to take the lead, and the state is going to be the applicant for a number of these large-scale offshore salmon farms. And for example, my organisation at the moment is applying for one, and then we will then hold that on behalf of the state, and we will bring in foreign direct investment to operate it. A very new approach, a very new model, which will ensure compliance and will ensure absolutely top-class operation of the outfit. We're going to find an investor through a public tender process. We're going to have a big emphasis on local job creation, local community development, and of course exemplary compliance. And it will make sure it's resourced. One of the things to be aware of with offshore aquaculture is you either have to go out there at scale or not at all, because you have to make very big investments. And that's just an artist's impression of what one of these things would look like. They're actually very visually inert, but you have to invest in big equipment, big ships, and big boats to make it happen. And that's the sort of technology that we'll be using. It's not revolutionary, it's not next step technology, it's the upper end of the technology that's available at the moment, but it can be done, and it can be done now. And that's the urgency that's in the situation for us in Ireland. And with the right technology, you can reduce environmental impact, you can control waste and feed, and you can make sure you get all that right. So I think, Chairman, I've stayed inside the time, and I will end with that.